Hello, everyone. Well, what I found infinitely subtle today was that corn souffle for lunch. It took. So we are here at Sonoma Mountain Zen Center. I'm sitting here with the abbot Hojo-san, and over the course of this past week, we've been are delivering a series of talks on practice of Zen, and this week is kind of the core part of a longer month-long period that happens twice a year at the Zen Center called Ango. And in Ango, which translates from the Japanese as peaceful dwelling, we are spending the days together here, working, sitting, eating, and it's focusing around the Zazen practice, which is really the heart of Soto Zen. And then in this third week called Sesshin, that's where we are now, that's the silent retreat. And the emphasis in Soto Zen practice is on cultivation through Zazen sitting and then carrying that forward into action. Today is Thursday, the 13th of February, and it's raining quite a bit up here on the mountain, and you might hear it now and then in the background. The rain is coming down on the Zendo, and we're right here in the middle of that in a redwood, oak, and drone forest. And we are here to talk to you about our practice in general, and the Ango period, and in my part of the talk today, I'll describe to you some experiences that I had here during the Ango that I'm sharing with the other students here. My position is as the Shuso, or the head student, and the Shuso's role here is to help keep everyone on time up in the morning, and through the sittings and some of the different rituals during the day. And here we are. And so this is a live event for those of you that are here, and if you're seeing this on YouTube, it's been recorded. And we welcome you to come up and practice with us sometime. We're just up the hill from Pen Grove, California, right on the top of Sonoma Mountain, overlooking the Valley of the Moon. And I think that for me, the kind of the principal event that's happened here during the Ango period is discovering firsthand, in person, practicing with a group of people and working together. Some chores are outside, some are indoors, and basically enjoying together what is called the joy of Zen, and it's been very meaningful for me. The theme of this Ango period that the Shuso is supposed to choose is the title is actualizing the fundamental point, and actualizing meaning helping make it happen, allowing it to happen to you, and in a lot of the Soto Zen literature, the moments of realization that will happen, during sitting or other times during the day, are often described as being hard to find, hard if not impossible to find, and that you can't know them, and that thanks to a translation of one of the great books that was written by Dogen in the 13th century, and that is called the Shobo Genzo. And this is one volume of the book. There's 4 altogether. And on the back of the book are kind of in the background of the artwork is some of the actual calligraphy created by Dogen, in writing this book. And it's really striking calligraphy because if you look at the patterns of how he painted it, how he used a brush to create the words, is wherever you see the part of a character that means a person or people or humanity, that it's really a very bold strike, thick, good amount of ink, and you could really kind of steps out from the page, and that speaks to my impressions about Dogen as he's from the materials like the Shobo Genzo that he created. That he's really a humanist and really interested in sharing the Dharma with other people, and so that's the person whose materials have led to the practice that now 802 years later, after he returned from China, where he learned about Chan Buddhism, and from that then came Soto Zen. So in thinking back on the past few weeks that we've been here now, this is day 20 of the Ango period. It's any of the, interesting or moments of insight that one would have at an event like this month-long event, is really helped to made happen by the support and the coordination with all the other people that are here practicing. And it's that support structure that helps make these moments both possible and noticeable. And by that meaning that the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the 3 treasures, when they're all there and you're practicing, this can be a very fertile place and very inspiring place for the mind. And in the midst of that context and that setting, this setting that we have here, thanks to Hojo-san and Roshi for introducing me to this specific translation of the Shobo Genzo, because it has the translator, who himself was a longtime Zen practitioner, which I think gives him a little extra clarity and insight into the writing. And there's a subtle phrasing that he used in the chapter 3 of the Shobo Genzo, which is called the Genjo Koan, and that chapter is then the theme for this Ango period. And the subtle phrasing that I'm referring to is, which really helped kind of turn my thinking upside down about who Dogen was as a person and his approach to the practice, and then his writing of encouragement to us, is he flipped the vocabulary from finding the Dharma, the Buddha Dharma in the Zazen sitting, from being difficult to find, or if not impossible, to what he called, the way he phrased it is, the place to be found is not conspicuous. And that phrasing, the place to be found, it seems to be both saying you have to look to find it, but also it is there. Is there meaning in you, and some combination of interactions with other people or things you see outside or as you're doing your daily tasks, then kind of help kind of light that up. And so, yeah, it was the place to be seen, the place to be known is not conspicuous. And that, for someone like me is, that's very encouraging because it suggests that it's possible. And then he closes that chapter, chapter 3, the Genjo Koan, by saying that realization is ambiguity itself. And when I first picked up the book, I had no idea how to, kind of approach it. It's thick, small font, 1,100 pages, but what I found is, going in with a particular intent or question in mind, and then the support of the other people around practicing really then helped make it accessible. Realization is the state of ambiguity itself. So, in our intentions as a Sangha, as I was describing before, we're all here to help each other to practice. And one of the things that Dogen emphasized is that when realization happens, and in the text that I was just pointing out and reading, he suggests it's possible. It's not guaranteed, but it is possible and doable and achievable. So he then later writes in that same chapter, when realization happens, it does not break the individual, just as the moon does not pierce the water. The individual does not hinder the state of realization, just as a dewdrop does not hinder the sky and moon. So it appears that, reading between the lines, that dropping away body and mind has both an active and passive facets. You have to be willing to take the time to build the support structure, to participate in the activity, to spend the time here. And then through the practice and the shared activities, you're then creating a place in yourself that allows realization to happen. So the support structure then agreeing to allow the process to happen and allowing it to affect you. And then when it does happen, don't get in the way. By that meaning, I was describing to Roshi the other day one of these moments, and he said, yeah, as soon as the commentary started, then that moment is over, and then you keep going. One other thing that appears to be pretty clear is that when it does happen, at least for me, I have to kind of stop. Otherwise, I'll just walk through the moment and miss it altogether. So again, what we're discussing today is how I approached the practice in this Ango period, and taking some of the materials from Dogen's Shofu Genzo, and and sharing it with you in hopes that it would be helpful. So I'll read a short section from the Shobogenzo, and in the translation that we're using, this is the one created by Nishijima and Cross, two-person team, Nishijima and Cross, and I'll read a brief little passage here and then go on. To learn the Buddha's truth is to learn ourselves. To learn ourselves is to forget ourselves. To forget ourselves is to be experienced by the myriad dharmas. To be experienced by the myriad dharmas is to let our own body and mind, and the body and mind of the external world, fall away. There is then a state in which the traces of realization are forgotten, and it manifests the traces of forgotten realization for a long, long time. I've heard that described as when you achieve moments of distinct clarity in the sitting or in some other activity, that can be an example of what's called dropping away body and mind. And that when Dogen writes to be experienced by the myriad dharmas, meaning that to let the process, the schedule of the Ango and the activities, this kind of rapid sequence, alternation between speaking and silent, moving and sitting, interacting and solitude, then that trains the mind to be open and awake and alert to subtle changes that you would notice then in your own experience of the process. And when he writes to be experienced by the myriad dharmas, meaning to allow the process to happen and allow your own insights to come up that without commentary then are realizing the Buddha Dharma. Then once the commentary starts, then that'll usually be described as a kind of habitual mind or conditioned mind catching up with you again. And then that's fine. It's doesn't mean that it wasn't the moment it was. It's just that that moment is complete. And then it's time to go in and have breakfast. So I'll paraphrase some of what Dogen was saying in the way that I experienced it. That learning yourself is learning how to forget self. Learning how to work with others harmoniously is learning how to relate to your own experience of yourself harmoniously. There have been a few vignettes that I want to describe. One of my tasks as the Shuso is before each of the zazen sitting, I come in, I do a bow in front of the altar, I light the incense, and in the morning it's a kind of granular powdered incense, and when I get the timing right and I come in just after the person managing the altar, that's the Jikido, has lit a little charcoal cube, then I walk up to the altar, and what was a cube of jet black charcoal all of a sudden is now completely red and glowing. It's beautiful. And you know, that time in the morning, it's about 5 minutes before 5. The zendos, it's kind of very dimly lit. And then in the midst of this dimly lit zendo hall, there is the cube of glowing charcoal, if my timing is right. Otherwise, I'll miss that moment. So I had to notice what I was doing and what I was doing before then, in order to get here on time, to then be kind of not behind time, or late, but not out of time, but out of your habituated experience of yourself. So you can just notice what's happening right there in front of you. Later in the day, I go to the altar and I then light a stick incense. And I have to put my depth perception is not so good, so I have to put the incense right up just above the tip of the flame, just before the flame, not in the flame, otherwise it will catch on fire. You just want it to get glowing. And if my timing wasn't good, and I kind of rushed the altar, then that'll bring a lot of wind, and then the flame of the candle is sort of rearing back, and it's harder to get to it. Another little joy of Zen vignette is when we have done, for example, we just finished eating, clean all the dishes, and then join in a little circle, and then bow to each other. That signals completion of the task, go on to your next one. But when that word circle bow as a group is timed simultaneously, almost like Leonard Bernstein was conducting it. This Leonard Bernstein perfection timing, simultaneous timing of the bow. For me, that's been a real kind of joy of Zen moment, and I think it's in those kinds of moments that experiencing or actualizing the joy of Zen, then that in that shared practice and the interactions of Ango, that's how we all help each other with the practice. We chant several times a day here during the day of Zazen, and that usually happens in the morning, about 6:45, just after noon, and about 5:30 in the evening, so just before the morning, noon, and dinner meal. And in the chanting, we just about every day, we chant together the Heart Sutra and the Sandokai. And the Heart Sutra, for me, I've interpreted as presenting a kind of idealized state. But it often leaves me with the question of, well, how do you get to that? Or how do you allow that to happen to you? And that, for a long time, was pretty mysterious, until I started reading about another chant that we do in the pre-meal service called the Sandokai. And that is described very cogently in a book by Suzuki Roshi, Branching Streams Flow in the Darkness. And he describes part of the chanting of the Sandokai is it's describing what the five senses are doing. And in the Heart Sutra, it's there's no taste, no sight, no phenomena, no sound. In the Sandokai, he's saying, eye see, ears hear, nose smell, tongue taste. That it's more of an active process, and that if I connected that view of the way that Suzuki Roshi translated it to some of the experiences that I'm having here, that it seems that your mind can have the experience of dropping away body and mind, but the five senses can also be portals through which that can happen. Here's an example. During the speaking parts of the Ango, before the start of the sesshin, I was talking to my wife on the phone, and she said, you must have increased your Zen knowledge. And so, it's 5 words, and there are only 5 problems with that sentence. One, that there's a you, and in Zazen you're trying to get to where your awareness is there, but your habituated sense of self or self-importance or whatever it may be has dropped away. Increased or must have is a problem because it's not a process that one ideally is approached with ambition. It's more of an aspiration to kind of let it happen. Then to increase is kind of a quantitative measure. And as Hojo-san was explaining the other night, when you have those moments of dropping away of body and mind, you're not trying to catalog them, count them, measure their duration, or another way, there will be no applause. It just happened. So that was the short conversation that we were having, and then I went outside, and up on the path going up the hill there's a little fairy ring of redwood trees there, and when you stand there and look up at it, they're pretty tall. So it's really kind of a vast space. And right at that moment, on a foggy morning when there was almost no wind and the rain had stopped, just at the moment that I looked up, there was this one little drop of rain. Nothing else around it other than that vast space. So I'm thinking, no, that drop, that's my understanding. So that was a moment that really piqued my interest, that came through sight. Then another one was through taste. So we ate 3 meals a day, and on this one particular day we had a Thai tofu curry. And on that one chunk of tofu floating there in the water, there was one teeny little chili flake, kind of a nice, smooth, soft curry, and then this one little bright, hot chili flake. And I thought of it that night when we were, at the end of the day, there's the koten, the big drum that marks the time of, it's now 9 p.m., time to go to sleep. And then right after that, this big soft sound of the drum, there was, then the hammer strikes on a little metal plate, kind of thick steel, maybe 1/4 inch thick. And it's a soft sound also, but very, very sharp. And so in my mind, the tofu and the drum kind of got to know each other, and the chili, a little bit of chili, and the metal strike on the metal plate got to be friends. And I guess that's hearing and taste. But those are some of the experiences that have helped clarify the experience of the sitting in such a way that what I think is what's called dropping away of body and mind. And all of that then is able to happen through this group structure here at the Zen Center, working and practicing together. So I would like to wrap. I have one other comment about Dogen. And the translator very helpfully describes a few things about him, how he went about his writing. He was innovative for his time, but the translator writes, of course, Master Dogen did not depart from traditional Buddhist thought, but at the same time, his thought as expressed in Shobo Genzo follows his own unique method of presentation. If we understand what this method is, Shobo Genzo is not so difficult to read. But unless we understand his method of thinking, it's very difficult to read. Basically, he looks at a problem from two sides, and then, like a debate structure, tries to argue one or the other, and then kind of synthesize it into a middle way. And from there, carry that forward and share it, with your friends, with your family, with your coworkers, which makes it then reality in action. And action, as the translator writes, is completely different from intellectual thought and completely different from the perception of our senses. So Master Dogen's method of thinking is based on action, and because of that, it has many unique characteristics. And my own commentary or impression of Dogen is that, like the calligraphy on the back of Shobo Genzo, again, that's his actual year 1223 calligraphy. I find him to be very bold and direct. Usually each chapter will start with very bold and direct statements and comments, but as I was mentioning earlier, reading from the chapter, the Genjo Koan that we're studying now, it's not always really direct because he's clear, but in saying that the Buddha Dharma state of mind it's a place that is not conspicuous, and as such, realization is ambiguity itself. So there you have it. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll close here.